Thank you for checking out crypto.chartguys.com, the source for technical analysis in the cryptocurrency world. We are proud to announce our own crypto alert system designed to give you the most critical technical trading information possible no matter where you are. Keep your eyes on the market with mobile or email alerts for MACD crosses, RSI levels, and even inside bar alerts for dozens of coins across multiple exchanges. New features and proprietary ChartGuys indicators are already in development. Our alert system is very easy to customize and utilize, so don't hesitate to sign up for the most effective crypto trading tool on the market at crypto.chartguys.com. Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. We've got a lot to talk about in terms of some fresh FUD and some volatility out there in the markets. Before we get into it, just want to make you aware of one of our associates, cointaxguy.com. We don't make anything in terms of affiliates for sales of this, but just want to make you aware that it is a cryptocurrency guide and looked into it. Where the value lies here is the included lifetime updates, because this is going to be changing so rapidly over the next few years in this cryptocurrency space. And you certainly want to be consulting tax professionals with answering questions of, about your taxes specifically, but this is created by tax professionals, so definitely will give some insightful information. And again, lifetime updates certainly beneficial. So let's get into it. We've got some fresh FUD, and a couple things happen. Whenever we see the cryptocurrency space dump all at the same time, we know to be looking for news. So props to people in the chat room who very quickly caught on and said, okay, something's up. We need to find the reason for this. And the reason that we need to know the reason is because we need to know, should we be buying this dip, or is this a big deal? And so everybody starts, finding things and saying, is it this? Is it this? In the end, it turns out a combination of things perhaps, but it is CoinMarketCap removing the Korean exchanges and dropping the value 100 million. And that definitely caught people by surprise. So people think the whole cryptocurrency space is pulling back, so they sell. And it just triggered a sell-off in terms of market or stop losses filling and definitely downward action. So we ended up bouncing. There were some nice oversold bounce opportunities. There was also news that China is going to be cracking down on the amount of electricity that mining operations are allowed to have. That's another potential reason for the pullback. Either way, it subsided for now. It was not the end of the world, and the bulls bought the dip as they usually do. It's just important to remember that when we have these events with, news-related fundamentals, that the RSI levels can get more extreme. If there's a reason behind the dump, then those RSI levels can get more extreme and the pullback can be more severe. When there's not a reason, when it's just, technical support levels breaking and we're pulling back, then we look for a more tame RSI level, so to speak. So here we had bounces all over the place, and the clue was not only were the big three dumping, which we see all the time, but the alt space was dumping as well. And when alts and the big three are dumping at the same time, people are leaving the market, temporarily in this case, but that's a sign for that, and that's what had the clue, okay, look for news. So Bitcoin has pulled back significantly. It would have been ideal if the bulls held 14,240, which was this little consolidation, but the uptrend is still intact for these bulls as long as we can hold 12,500. So we're not changing the trend here, and we did pull back and the bulls bounced off support, 14,000 even. I personally was looking for the potential of a climax through 14,000 support. I was surprised and impressed that the bulls were able to hold that level. And at that point, I was mostly scaled into Bitcoin, and I'll go over that. But Bitcoin has bounced significantly. So we look at the 4-hour time frame. We had a multiple inside bar bull break that just occurred after sideways consolidation. So inside bar with the tightening range and a clear bull break. We have the MACD we're going to be keeping an eye on. One thing we need to be aware of is that because this bounce is coming from the lows, we are going to anticipate a lower high being set here on the 4-hour time frame. So be aware that the lower high is likely going to be set overnight or tomorrow morning, and the level at which it could occur, there's certainly plenty of possibility. It could be up here 15,940 as a resistance, or we could be topping out here in the low to mid 1500s, or 15,000s. We have to be very cautious, and to be cautious, we have to be looking at more details in the shorter term time frames. So here on the hourly chart, we can see a little triple bottom that held, and that was a good sign for the bulls, and that is what has led to our bull break on the 4-hour time frame. So we had support down here of 14,602, 616, and then 615. So we held 14,600 three times, and then the bulls showed up. So that is now a must-hold level. If we lose 14,600, it's a big red flag that we are giving back the progress that the bulls have put together. The bounces are still lower highs, so we have a bunch of lower highs and breaking this most recent lower high was significant with the bullish MACD cross to go along with it. So this is what is giving us the bull break on the 4-hour time frame. And again, we will likely start pulling back and forming that lower high on the 4-hour time frame once we see these shorter term time frames lose their uptrend. So here's the 15-minute chart. If the 15-minute chart loses its higher low pattern, we're going to be looking to fade back down, and that's going to cause that upper wick on the 4-hour candlestick to begin forming. So key support in the short term is here just above $15,004. In terms of resistance at this level, we've got 15,330 is the highest price we've seen, and then there's a couple levels here, 15,500 and 15,550. So bulls have momentum in their favor on the bounce and scaled in on the way down, started entering a little bit too early at 14.7, but because there was FUD involved and because it was fundamentals, I spaced out my buy orders larger. Normally, I might space out my buy orders by every $50, and in this instance, I was spacing out 14,710, 14,610, 510, 410, all the way down, and I think my last order was 310, and then just played the bounce and sold out. I'm not still holding at this point. Got a little too hairy here. I've been trading Ethereum a bit back and forth. Canadian MJ stocks are still absolutely insane. So opportunity everywhere, and I'm just picking and choosing my spots and waiting for things to be really aligned in terms of me liking the entry. So tightening up right now, 15-minute inside bars forming. We got that hourly chart trying to see continuation of higher lows and higher highs, but the 4-hour time frame is likely to set a lower high on this bounce and have to consolidate and form a higher low, and then we'll see that bull MACD cross follow through if that can play out for the bulls. Checking in on Ethereum, it has been the star of the show. Very, very impressive 2 weeks. All-time highs, the bull MACD cross on the daily time frame, huge follow through, and a really nice opportunity on volatility. And I'm going to point out some names here. I'm going to look at Ripple and OMG as well. But those names combined with ETH are some of the strongest bounces we saw today in terms of percentage gains from the lows. And the reason is that is because they have been so strong recently. So the bulls are going to be looking to buy those dips first. We're coming off of all-time highs on ETH. Ripple's obviously been in the news everywhere. Everybody's hearing about it. And OMG had just made a bull break on the daily. So because those names had the bull momentum in their favor heading into the FUD, the bounces were more significant. So Ethereum had beautiful bounces where on the 4-hour time frame, we're looking for an equilibrium now. And I'm looking at the high and the low of the pullback and the potential of a lower high to form anywhere near the all-time high. And it was looking like it was going to be here in the 1170s. Maybe it will be, but we're testing that resistance again right now. So the bounce that has played out is so significant where we've dropped all the way down to 950 and we bounced all the way back up to 1170. So at this point, it's $220. It's over 23%, 24%. And it's just huge follow through. Look at the volume climax down at the lows. So I made a mistake personally where I was preoccupied with other things and I just went with Bitcoin scaling in on the way down because I was unable to get really honestly just too overwhelmed with too much going on in terms of trading multiple markets. But Ethereum had the lead bounce of the big three. So at this point, support, we just established a higher low on the hourly at 1,110. And where we stand right now is we're within striking distance of the all-time high, which is up at 1229. And the correlation is still there to Bitcoin without a doubt, but it is favoring Ethereum, meaning a bull move on Bitcoin is going to be more bullish on Ethereum, and a pullback on Bitcoin is going to be less of a pullback on Ethereum. That's the correlation that we've been watching on this bounce, and it is still following through. We have some inside bars on the hourly time frame currently forming as things get really tight, and look at the 15-minute time frame straight across. So the 15-minute time frame has a little higher low and a higher high recently. We did lose the 15-minute higher low, but that was where Bitcoin correlation came into play because Bitcoin did as well, just barely, and then headed back up. So Ethereum did the same thing. So Ethereum's still holding on for the bulls. If I had to pick the topmost support level that the bulls want to hold is 1151.49 on the 15-minute time frame. On the hourly, it's 1,110. And the bulls do not have much resistance whatsoever heading up towards that all-time high. So just looking at the Bitcoin chart, I could say if Bitcoin's going to head up towards 15,600, 15,800, Ethereum is very likely to be testing that all-time high at that point. So we'll see how much further momentum the bulls can put together here. Ethereum had, again, like I said, a ton of volatility on this dump, and the opportunity was there. The RSI on the 15-minute time frame dropped down to 15. The hourly RSI, when we were at the low of the candlestick, was oversold as well. The 15-minute price shears were going out, and not only did it signal the top of the move, but it signaled the bounce. So let's just look at the run up here. This is the run up to the all-time high on the 15-minute time frame for Ethereum. These arrows are when the price shear alerts went out on this 15-minute chart. So the bulls got in on a signal below 1100, and we followed through with a bull flag and continuation, and then we had the double top at 1220. So we formed the lower high. The bear signal for the price shear went out before we even broke the higher low pattern on the 15-minute time frame, and then it broke right after that, and then the bears had full control. So after you get a bearish price shear alert and then you get an oversold RSI alert, those two in combination tell you to look for a bounce. So looking at the bounce beginning to play out on Ethereum, here was where our second price shear, the first price shear was right here. The second bearish price shear was here where we set another leg to the downside. This is where the 15-minute and the hourly RSI indicators were going out. And then here's our bullish price shear alert showing the bounces underway at 1040. And next thing we know, we're back up here at 1140, 1150. So a 10% possibility on the bull price shear. And again, it's not nailing the bottom and it's not nailing the start of the pullback, but it's giving enough of a heads up that these are capturing significant percentages in their moves and can certainly be incorporated into a trading strategy. So these are just the shorter terms day trading style for these bounces in terms of maximizing entries and exits. But the hourly time frame and 4-hour time frame has some good signals as well. So here it was a bear shear when we lost this higher low pattern on the consolidation initially. But the bottom line is a lot of alerts go out when a lot of activity is going on, but it's important to block out the noise and limit the amount of alerts just so you know that if something's coming in, and specifically in combination with each other, a 15 or a 30-minute bear price shear with oversold RSI conditions, that's something to definitely look into acting upon. So Litecoin has been very significantly correlated to Bitcoin, and I haven't been looking at Litecoin much because Ethereum has so much opportunity. I'm either looking at Bitcoin or Ethereum. But Litecoin, we have support at 231.42. We're still forming higher lows on the daily. We formed a higher low by about $5. So we zoom into the 4-hour time frame. We had the same bear move, but we're still forming inside bars. So Bitcoin did break bullish on its 4-hour inside bar pattern. So this is potential for a laggard play where you could look to get into Litecoin and look for a bull break to occur here. And if we break resistance of 259.47, the next level I'm looking up at is 268.85. So inside bars breaking for the bulls could definitely be a laggard play and something to keep an eye out for here into tonight. Support on the hourly, the higher low is 250.58, and resistance is the high of this bounce at 259.47. You can see a very tight channel that is looking like it will break overnight tonight. So that's where we stand on Litecoin. Not a whole lot of a difference. The bounce is underway. It's not as significant a bounce. It's the weakest of the three at this point, but we know when the bulls show up, they show up in force. So keep an eye on Litecoin to potentially play the laggard game, and we'll look for a volume spike. And speaking back of the alert system, we have a volume indicator that is going to be added to the alert system very shortly. Certainly looking for before the end of the month, but we'll make you aware when that is a part. It's definitely been a tricky alert comparatively, but finally looking good and ready to put that out. So here are the bounces that we saw in Ripple and OMG. So Ripple, again, everybody's been aware of it and watching it and seeing all kinds of breakouts. We've had some really nice bounces on these 4-hour pullbacks, long lower wicks, nice follow through on the bounces, and we're seeing another one right now where if we look at the hourly time, this flush, again, on a volume climax, the hourly RSI at the low of this candlestick was close to approaching the teens. So we're down here at 20 on this candlestick, and then we dropped significantly further. We bounced from 190, and just like that, we're up at 250. So that's almost a 30% bounce in a span of 2 hours. Obviously, that's where you can make a ton of money if you are compounding your profits and you are exiting and stopping out before these all-out dumps so you have the cash to play with. So here we topped out on the high of the bounce at 250, and we have a higher low of support now at 231 and another lower high, and now we're trying for a higher low. So things are getting tight here as well. The 4-hour time frames are showing sideways trading and potentially inside bars forming. So at this point, the two key levels, 231 must hold support and 250 key resistance. So just like Ripple, OMG has been bullish. We saw the bull break on the daily time frame up to all-time highs with significant follow-through, but we did pull back significantly as well, so there was a bounce opportunity. You can see the 4-hour time frame had an inside bar that broke bearish. Even though it's a green candlestick, that's a bear break, and it followed through on that dump afterwards. So on the hourly time frame, let's see how oversold we got. RSI at the low of this candlestick was down at 30, but certainly not as oversold as some of these other names. 15-minute RSI down at 20. But look at the bounce here. We went from 1885, and just a few hours later, we made it to a high of 25. So that there is a 35-40% move, and significant. So looking at the hourly time frame on where we stand right now, we can see a bit of an equilibrium pattern is forming, where we have our low of the dump, our high of the bounce, higher low, and a lower high. So that's the range right now. Support is 2271, and resistance is 2440. 2271 and 22. Okay, let's try it one last time. 2271, and resistance is 2440. That's the tightening range to be watching on OMG. And I'm looking for a break in the correlation between Bitcoin and the altcoins, because I liked having that as a hedge. I liked to be in a heavy Bitcoin position, but have an altcoin that if we see consolidation in Bitcoin, that altcoin is going to perform well. And Gollum has certainly been breaking out in instances where Bitcoin has been holding up. So I've been trading Gollum back and forth a lot, but at this point, everything's fairly significantly correlated to themselves, and I'm looking for that to break a bit. So we'll see how we end up overnight. Keep an eye on Ethereum. Those bulls, they could see all-time highs. They definitely have the strength, and the correlation is in their favor. We'll see if that keeps up. I appreciate you watching, and remember, do good things.